We schedule stack classes for both full course and blended learning formats. Stack classes can be scheduled for our branch community courses as well as for our contracted off-site full services. Here is an example of a full course format of stacked course combinations that all start at the same time but end at different times because they have a different number of components. In example 1, participants that register for Adult First Aid CPR AED will be in class from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m., but those that register for Adult CPR AED only will be by noon, leaving only the ones that also want to be certified in first aid. Notice here that the blended learning course lengths are shorter because these are skills-only sessions. The first 3 courses are lay responder, which means it can be stacked the same way, finishing at different times to accommodate those that wish to take different component combinations. Notice that the Professional Rescuer course was scheduled to start at a different time, and it's only one offering because it is a higher level of certification and the components cannot be split up. End-of-course scenarios allow you, the instructor, a final opportunity to check how well your participants can perform their CPR and first aid skills independently. You'll find the end-of-course scenarios in the final lesson of both the lay and pro instructor manuals. For the lay program, the instructor can prompt the participants through the skills, or you can have the participants pair off and have one to be the prompter and the other to be the responder. For the Professional Rescuer end-of-course scenarios, the instructor must be the prompter. For the full course format of the lay and pro courses, all participants must have completed their respective end-of-course scenarios to be considered passing. Careful planning needs to be considered when you have a stacked class to make sure that you conduct an end-of-course scenario for participants that will be leaving early. However, for the blended learning format, the end-of-course scenarios are only required for the Professional Rescuer course. This chart illustrates that for all formats and programs, we must deliver the end-of-course scenarios, except for the lay responder blended learning format. If you are only delivering one offering, or if all the participants are scheduled to take the same components and leave at the same time, this is how you know you are not teaching a stacked class. The delivery of these courses are straightforward in that you will complete all lessons in normal chronological order and then conduct the end-of-course scenarios at the end of the day with all participants. We encourage you to have participants prompt each other during the end-of-course scenarios of a lay responder full course. However, for all Professional Rescuer end-of-course scenarios, this must be prompted by the instructor. If you are delivering multiple offerings at the same time and/or have students scheduled to leave at different times throughout your session, then you are likely teaching a stacked course. Planning is required so that you present the course components in the right order so that participants can leave as they complete the offering combination they registered for. Also, all participants must complete the respective end-of-course scenarios for the offering combination they learned. Again, stacked courses can only be scheduled for lay responder courses and not for Professional Rescuer courses. In a lay responder course, you can have course participants prompt each other through each scenario by having the prompter follow along with the scenario sheets. The scenario sheet contains the scenario story and prompt phrases, as well as the appropriate responder actions, so the prompting participant has a specific guide for what to observe. If you are only doing one scenario type, let's say CPR, for example, You don't need to have participants switch roles. Prompters and responders get equal credit when completed successfully. However, the participants can switch roles if they are doing a different scenario type, like AED or first aid. Make sure to elaborate that the end-of-course scenario is like a performance kit so that they can test each other's skills while you circulate among the participants. Who is the prompter in a lay responder final scenario? The participants in the class. Who is the prompter in a CPRO final scenario? The instructor. When do you do the final scenario for adult CPR during adult and pediatric first aid CPR AED regular class? At the conclusion of the course. The next section will provide you with a more detailed explanation of the timing and delivery of stack courses for both full course and blended learning formats. Here is an example of a full course format stack course. You will be teaching adult first aid CPR AED. But once you complete the adult CPR AED course, you will conduct an adult CPR end of course scenario with the whole group, followed by a AED scenario with the whole group, and then allow the students that are registered in the CPR AED only offering to exit the classroom. You will then complete the first aid course with the remaining participants, and then conduct a first aid end of course scenario at the end of the day. For all participants, make sure they complete a CAPS evaluation or student evaluation. In this blended learning example, there are 3 offerings stacked together scheduled to all start at 6 p.m. The most inclusive offering is only 2 hours long because this is a skills-only format. The participants completed the online pre-course prior to attending. We cover the skills course by teaching adult CPR AED first, first aid second, and pediatric CPR last, so that participants are not idle during any section. Because the lay responder blended learning program does not require the delivery of end-of-course scenarios as soon as the skill practice sessions are done for each offering combination, the participant can exit the course. However, make sure that they complete a student evaluation CAPS evaluation before they go. Do you give end-of-course scenarios in a blended learning lay responder course? No. In the blended learning lay responder stack classes, you do not give a final scenario. However, in the CPRO blended learning course, you must conduct all 3 end-of-course scenarios. Do you lecture during a blended learning course? No. Lectures are not done during a blended learning course. Blended learning is skill-based only. Do you show videos during a blended learning course? Yes, you show videos during the blended learning course. Is there a PowerPoint presentation for blended learning courses? Yes, there is a PowerPoint presentation on Instructor's Corner for blended learning courses that has video only. What time should the student leave if they are taking a stack adult and pediatric CPR AED, not blended learning? At 1 p.m. Does the student leaving at 1 p.m. complete an end-of-course scenario? Yes. When does the student that is scheduled to leave at 1 p.m. take the end-of-course scenario? At the conclusion of the adult and pediatric CPR AED course lessons. Depending on whether you are teaching a community course at a local Red Cross office or a full-service course, which are typically off-site contracted courses, documentation and reporting will vary slightly for STAC courses. In this example, we have a community course being taught at a local Red Cross chapter. And Sally, Bob, Alice, and Mike are registered so that they can certify to maintain their employment requirements. They will all be sitting together at the start of the course. However, Sally and Bob are in adult CPR AED only offerings, and Alice and Mike are in the adult first aid CPR AED offering. This means you'll have two rosters for the course with two different offering IDs. Once you complete the adult CPR AED course, Sally, Bob, Alice, and Mike will all participate in an adult CPR scenario and in an AED scenario. Sally and Bob will leave, and Alice and Mike will remain for the first aid lesson and skills, as well as the first aid scenario. Make sure that any missing contact information is added by the participants and that you will fill out the appropriate grades, S, U, or NE. All community courses must be called into the Training Support Center within 2 hours of the course end by calling 1-800-RED CROSS. Based on the above time and STAC class we just reviewed, what time would Sally and Bob go home? At 12 p.m. If you are teaching a full service where the participants are scheduled to stay for different parts of the course, we don't need separate rosters or addendums. Because there is no pre-registration, unlike a community course, you can list out all the participants that will be present on the same addendum sheet. Write out all the components in the components row. In the enrolled row, you can write E for enrolled if they are taking that specific component, or N for not enrolled if the participant is not taking that component. For example, Pam Doon will only be taking adult CPR AED, but will not be taking the pediatric CPR AED component. Make sure you write out the correspondent completion grades, and the same rule applies regarding all participants having completed respective end-of-course scenarios and CAPS evaluations prior to leaving the course. Do you need separate course records for STAC full service classes? No, you do not need separate course records for full service courses. Thank you for participating. Goodbye.